What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. With me, as always, is Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's going on, Kyle? I am as excited as anybody to talk about this breaking news here because I've rostered him in 2 leagues for the last few weeks, just hoping that he would be freed.
So Brian and I just recorded NASCAR. We have upcoming our betting show. So we figured why not squeeze a little fantasy football into Le'Veon Bell to the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's talk about this from a multitude of ways. And just so everyone can get a nice little picturesque, that guy in that uniform. We'll see if he rocks number 26. So Brian and I were trying to figure out Damian Williams is technically 26. But you never know. So let's talk about it. I guess, what's your initial reaction as somebody who rosters Le'Veon Bell in a couple leagues? Like, where does your head go? Like, obviously, a lot of this is we'll see what happens, right? Like, there's going to be people with all kinds of takes. Obviously, we'll give you ours and our thoughts and where our heads are at. But Brian, I guess with the initial Le'Veon Bell as a Chief, where are you at with him, with CEH, with this whole setup?
So, I'm pretty excited as somebody who's had Le'Veon Bell just kind of sitting there and hoping to be able to play him, because even though I do think that he will see a decrease in snaps and like field time than he was having with the Jets, the fact that he'll even be taking 40 to 45% of the snaps for this offense is something that just offers so many more opportunities to put up points. And I think it's really critical to look at the fact that they haven't been able to utilize CEH in the red zone as much as we had anticipated them doing. And we've seen a lot of Darrell Williams down there. We've seen a lot of Darrell Williams on third down situations. Last week in a game to where they were trailing to Las Vegas, saw Clyde Edward-Helaire play his least amount of snaps. We saw Darrell Williams pick up the percentage of plays that he was seeing. They seem to like him in pass pro and as a receiver. And that's something that Le'Veon Bell will be taking over. And as a guy who was at one point the most dynamic running back in the NFL, I think this is a clear-cut, like 50-50 timeshare to where both of them are going to have value on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I'm a little more 60-40, but from a general perspective, I'm with you. I think this is a great sign for the Chiefs. I think this is a great thing for Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, an offense with Patrick Mahomes that was already loaded with weapons just got better. Personally, I have a lot of Travis Kelce. I'm a little I'm not like super excited about this move because I think with along the same lines as you is he's going to be a goal line factor. He's going to be used in and around the red zone. We've seen a lot of Mecole Hardman and Anthony Sherman and handoffs to this guy and Demarcus Robinson end arounds. Patrick Mahomes running it in. That I think that does take a cut. And as your point, CEH saw 10 carries inside the red zone in week 1. Since then, he's had 8 total. So 1, 3, 3, and 1. Obviously not getting involved. He's a smaller guy. He's super unique and super talented. And I still think from those that drafted him, even in second, third round, I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be really happy with what he produces for you. And honestly, I think there's going to be a lot of unique scenarios to deploy them both in the same backfield. And I think a lot of interesting ways to line up both guys. And I think you might actually be like, I don't think if you're a CEH, if you're someone who rosters CEH, someone who's going to be starting CEH, I don't think you have a ton to worry about. Maybe your touchdown upside is a little bit limited, but that was something we already kind of were heading towards anyways, no matter, if that was Darrell Williams or Anthony Sherman or Travis Kelce or Mahomes himself. I don't think that was going to be a struggle. I think Le'Veon Bell becomes a little more frustrating. Like I'm curious. I think he basically takes what Darrell Williams was doing. So maybe 3 to 5 targets is enough in a PPR league to kind of give you a relatively safe floor. But I feel like you're going to need those touchdowns to feel really good about using him or the fact that you started him, basically.
One thing I will say about Le'Veon Bell is his ability as a receiver, I
Mhm.
think is something that they've kind of missed out of the backfield, and just his ability to create space off the snap is something that they're going to utilize in a lot of different ways. And all those little end arounds, like you were saying, to Mecole Hardman, to Demarcus Robinson, all those little screen passes to Sherman and all that stuff. I think we see the majority of that stuff kind of go away slightly, and we see more situations where Clyde Edward-Helaire is lined up in the backfield with Patrick Mahomes, and maybe Le'Veon Bell is lined up in the slot as a guy
Mhm.
who could take a linebacker off the snap and get those quick, easy, 5-yard first downs and stuff like that. So I'm probably a little more optimistic on Bell's receiving side and his red zone usage than
Mhm.
others. But like you said, like I really think this just caps Helaire's ceiling more
Yeah.
so than it does affect his floor.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, no matter what happens with this offense, however limited his touches are, his ceiling, Le'Veon Bell's ceiling with the Chiefs is so much higher than it would have ever been in New York. I mean,
Yes.
I know 7 targets for 17 yards is great in a PPR league, but maybe you get 3 or 4 targets. But if it's for 45 yards and a touchdown, and he gets a carry in the red zone and scores a touchdown, like, this offense is going to be on the field more. They're going to be more productive, and they're going to have more red zone opportunities, which means all good things for Le'Veon Bell and all good things for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who will still be involved. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, also going to be incredibly fantasy viable. Maybe when they get in close, Kelce's maybe a touchdown or 2 less this season because of this move. Maybe Mahomes runs in 1 less, but he's been running in a lot more than I think people anticipated as a rushing touchdown in a couple straight games. So I think it's going to be fun to watch. Eric Bieniemy is going to have a ton of fun drawing up plays and figuring out how to use all these guys. This is like a definition of a Madden offense. They're just, I don't, there's so many options. Good luck trying to stop it. Like, the team that won the Super Bowl just got better. Like, not really sure how that happened.
And not only, like, they've been playing without their best 2 defensive tackles. Like, they haven't had both of them healthy for the last 3 weeks, with one of them constantly missing.
Yeah.
And it's starting to look like this week that Kansas City's defense is going to be fully healthy against a Buffalo team who just got romped against Tennessee. So we could see the best of Kansas City this Monday against Buffalo, even if Bell does not play.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to kind of pay attention to how everything shakes out, but I would be, I'm excited to see how this all pans out. From a Jets point of view, it's still probably going to be a lot of Frank Gore just because that's how it's been. I'm still optimistic, and I know that stuff has been kind of trending in the right direction. That LaMichael Pirine, a guy that I know I'm excited about, I think a guy you're excited about, maybe he gets a little more involved. I think Gase has said a lot of things. Gase, we'll see what Adam Gase does because he's incredibly frustrating. How that guy still has a job, I am not really sure.
Beyond me.
Joe Flacco is their quarterback, so like I watched a lot of that game against the Cardinals. It was not pretty.
Oh,
like
that was abysmal.
But yeah, I'm curious to see if LaMichael Pirine can get involved because I was a big fan of his coming out of Florida. If you're in dynasty leagues, obviously he is somebody that if you can get him up for a third rounder, I think I'd be doing that. In redraft, I think if you can roster him and kind of be patient, I think it might make sense. But as I mentioned with Le'Veon Bell, like this offense is anemic and not looking very good. And so even if he's getting 15 carries, if it's not producing yards because the offensive line is hurting because the passing game can't muster more than 150 yards a game, it might not mean much. But with the way the running backs are going down and the way injuries are ravaging a lot of teams, if you have a starter in a decent offense, it's worth taking a look at for sure.
Yeah, I feel like this, especially this upcoming week, it'll be a little bit gruesome as far as the production that you'll see from either Pirine or Frank Gore. But once Sam Darnold comes back, Denzel Mims is supposed to be coming off of IR soon. Like, I think that'll be
Mims and
a huge
Perriman
addition.
Are supposed to play this week, and then if Adam Gase stops like drawing up plays with rocks, we might actually have an offense in New York.
Well, that's the thing is like, I mean, this is a good matchup on paper, but even Miami's defense is starting to get healthier. Like Byron Jones is practicing again, so this is probably a team that I'm avoiding. Like, even if I was able to snag LaMichael Pirine or I have him, hopefully he's at the end of my bench. I have no want to play him at all this week. I just kind of want to see the way that it kind of develops. But then going forward, once Darnold comes back and those other pieces on the outside are there, it should open up a little bit more for the running game, for the running backs. The offense should be a little bit more, should resemble more of an NFL offense and not a high school offense. So the upside is definitely there for P. Ryan to kind of take over that lead back role from the freaking dinosaur Frank Gore. But who knows with Gase still there.
Yeah. The fact that Frank Gore is still getting high volumes of touches is amazing to me. I feel like we've, for a decade plus, have been talking about, oh, this guy's going to get injured. Don't draft him. Don't draft him. He just puts up monster numbers, and he's still producing even, 7,000 BC or whenever he was born. All right, Brian, this was a lot of fun. Obviously, we are going to record our betting preview. If you please check that out. If you like the content we're producing, please mash that thumbs up. Please hit subscribe. It really does do a lot for us. I will put buttons in as well. I think I could figure that out. But for Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to you guys.